This is Applejack. She's a character from the TV show My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic from the 2010s. She is an earth pony, she's hardworking, she's honest, and she cares about her family and her friends. She was my almost favorite character when I was a little kid because she grew up on a farm, and so did Applejack. Let's see what the internet has to say about Applejack. Oh dear. The My Little Pony Brony fandom was created and comprised of the adult and teenage men and boys who watched the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic show. As a longtime fan of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and someone who probably consumed a lot of Brony content at much too young of an age, I'm going to take you through the history of how the Brony fandom was created and how they in turn changed the way we view children's media forever. Maybe not forever, but at least right now. But initially, the My Little Pony fandom was created sort of out of mockery. In her 2020 video, the last BronyCon, film critic Jenny Nicholson discusses the transition from the original My Little Pony fandom of the 80s and the 90s, comprised of these women and girls who watched the show when they were kids, and the way that transitioned into the Brony fandom. And the catalyst for this was an article by the website Cartoon Brew, written by author Amit Amidi, entitled "The End of the Creator-Driven Era." Now, in this article, Amidi completely decimates a lot of these Hasbro shows that were being released at the same time and by the same company as My Little Pony. But since the full title is My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which is painfully trite and adorable, as Jenny Nicholson says, 4chan, a messaging platform full of not so nice people typically, who got a hold of the article, decided to go in and watch that show. Maybe to defend the creators of the show and say it's not that bad, but a lot to roast the show and make fun of it. But the interesting thing that happened is they didn't actually mind the show, they actually enjoyed it. They enjoyed it so much and created so much content about it and talked about it so much that everyone else on 4chan hated it, to the point where the word pony would get you banned from the site. Now, what is a poor Brony to do without a place to talk with your fandom? One user of 4chan named Sophisto created his own platform entitled Equestria Daily, wherein these Brony fans can create and discuss My Little Pony content. And the thing that happened is all of these people started creating more and more fan content, for better and for worse. Unfortunately, when you have adults creating more content for adults, it can be a bit kid unfriendly. Some examples of this are brought up in YouTuber Iz's video entitled "The Craziest Moments in Brony History." And unfortunately, a lot of these fan fictions and art and music tended to be a bit violent and grotesque and even perverse at times. And all of this content was now throughout the internet, and more people were getting to see it. And some people, they saw it, they thought it was interesting, and now they wanted to watch the show. But a lot of people saw these men watching this show, typically for young girls, and thought it was a bit weird, particularly with that fan art being seen as well. And that sort of mockery tended to be the thing that was discussed within their media, such as the most popular one I can think of at the top of my head is Bob's Burgers with their episode Equestronauts, which discusses kind of the weirdness of the Brony fandom, these adult men watching this girl's show. But one of the good things that came out of the Brony fandom is the recognition that was given to all the artists who work on this show. Typically, being an artist for a children's show is a thankless task. But now you have this entire fandom full of people who respect you and love the work you're creating and have so much to say about your work and art to create for you. And that's something that hadn't really happened as much before. And since then, you can see that appreciation in so many other forms of media, Examples that I can think of include Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, even Bluey. These children's shows are being so lifted in a way that's similar to how the My Little Pony fandom was. And unfortunately, in the same vein, there's that same darkness and at times criticism a bit unfairly pushed onto these children's shows. Another thing particularly prevalent in girls' cartoons and children's and young girls' shows is a bit of misogyny and a bit of mockery for girls' shows. In her 2024 article in Defense of Bronies, Cecilia Ledesma writes, "Media marketed at women is mocked in general, and interest shown by men sees them mocked as well." Bronies, the thing you have to realize is that the Brony fandom became the way it is because it was born of mockery, and then it was content made by men for other men. In general, adults recently in these children's show fandoms tend to view this content in a bit of an egotistical lens, comparing it to other adult shows and creating adult fan content. But the most important thing that we need to remember, the most important thing and lesson I can learn and that I can teach you from the story of the Brony fandom is that we need to remember to make these spaces helpful and friendly for everyone of all ages. You can't help who's on the internet, no matter, even if they're too young to be, but when you're talking about a show that's made for children, something important to do is to make sure that you're curating a safe space for everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned a little bit more about friendship and magic and the My Little Pony fandom.